And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this so special meeting, and congratulations to the two speakers for their excellent presentations. I am very honored and pleased to serve as a discussant at the first ERSA lecture at DG Regio. In 2015, this is an inspired initiative of strengthening the relationships between ERSA and DG Regio, and a big impulse was given this summer in August by the organization at the ERSA Congress in Lisbon of a plenary session held at the Portuguese Parliament, with the participation of the European Commissioner for Regional Policy, Mrs. Corina Crețu, of top representatives of regional policy making in Portugal, including the Regional Development Minister, Mr. Manuel Maduro, and top representatives of the Regional Science International Community, Professors Andres Rodriguez Pose, Roberta Capello, and Philip McCann. And here I would like to greet the presence of Mrs. Maristela Angotti, who is the program manager at the ERSA office in Leuven. So thank you, Maristela, for coming and supporting us. Coming back to today's presentations, I have remarked the richness and the variety of ideas in each presentation, and in many cases the complementarities between the viewpoints expressed. And all of these reflect a complex approach of the cohesion policy issues. Many of these ideas actually anticipate hot debates around the ex-post cohesion policy, ex-post evaluation of cohesion policy for 2007-2014, and even more, they offer evolutionary perspective on cohesion policy, with many useful lessons for the current program period, and even beyond this for what will be going on after 2020. Given the time constraints, I have chosen to pick up just one of the many powerful messages I have found in the two presentations, and deliver some comments on them. In the first presentation, referring to the assessment of the long-term assessment and achievements of the cohesion policy, John Butler pointed out that the need to concentrate on relevance, effectiveness, and utility. Indeed, these three words reflect the philosophy of the whole EU support via structural and cohesion funds, because they have a lot to do with how was the money spent, what was achieved, and whether this assistance made a difference or not. And I would like to mention here a remark of the European Commissioner for Regional Policy with regard to this issue delivered in Lisbon. She mentioned that the structural assistance provided by the European Union really changed the face of many countries of the European Union. But when it comes to economic growth, when it comes to regional convergence, to changing, improving the life of people, the results are beyond expectations. And there are, of course, many explanations for this situation, and John Butler has provided a very accurate picture in this respect. And on the other hand, when talking about spending the EU money, of course, the absorption issue has always come into discussion. And Gregor Gorzelak launched a very challenging question. It was displayed on one of his slides. Are we looking for problems to spend money, or for money to solve real problems? Well, the rate of absorption is important, but the results of spending the EU money are of at least the same importance. And behind the results, how we measure the results, do the employed indicators reflect response to a real need? Do they reflect a real utility? And in a broader view, does the evaluation cover all necessary aspects? Going even further, John Butler has mentioned another very important aspect of utility, namely the difficulty to maintain the benefits in some cases after the funding is decreasing. And this says a lot about the depth of his inquiry. And now about Gregor Gorzelak's presentation, I have selected the message transmitted and at the end of his presentation, which says that now we should see the European Union as one single European Union without the traditional division between the old and the new member state. And this view is supported by the new architecture of the cohesion policy, which has largely incorporated the territorial dimension in its construction and supports the place-based approaches. So the diversity of the European territory requires diversified solutions. And in the case of East European countries, they still have a lot to do, as both presenters mentioned, with infrastructure, with the continuation of the administrative and institutional reforms too much delayed after the accession to the European Union. But even this issue of infrastructure should be seen in a totally new light, and as the European Commissioner said, we shouldn't transform it into an obsession, the obsession with infrastructure, because the infrastructure is just one of the development factors in a more complex approach, in a systemic approach that should consider the other development factors too, so as to create the so-called synergetic effects so much desired. And such effects are envisaged in the current program period by the smart specialization related strategies aiming to identify and to turn to good account the assets, the competitive advantages of each country and the region in relation to knowledge-based investments. And I quote again the European Commissioner for Regional Policy, not every region should become a Silicon Valley. But each region has its own strengths, products to compete nationally and internationally. So this idea of smart specialization should be considered in a very flexible way. What is new in 2014-2020 with smart specialization is that research and innovation strategies have become an ex-ante conditionality, making a big step forward comparing to the previous declarations of good intentions about the increasing of the cooperation between university, research, academia in general, and industry, and contributing to increasing credibility of regional policy in this way. Well, in general terms, initiatives like smart specialization and result orientation of the policy options are expected to contribute to the success of cohesion policy, of regional policy, as powerful investment policy in the current program period and beyond. I stop here renewing my congratulations to the two speakers, and it has been a pleasure to be here, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.